And our society has been hijacked and kidnapped and pushed into a corner where no one can say anything publicly about black people. If you do, they call you a racist and a bigot. So the true thoughts and true dialogue between white folk and black folk cannot go forward, because you cannot speak your mind or the truth without being called a racist if you say anything about the spirits of black folk, the habits of black folk, the spirit that black folk are full of, black men are full of abandonment, they're full of murder, they're full of robbery, and they're full of violence. Now, that is not to say that all black men are, but 70% of them are. 70% of them desert their children. 70% of them don't marry the mothers that they father children through. 1.2 million of them are in prison. And this has nothing to do with white folk or slavery. So we can't have a true and meaningful dialogue about race in this nation, because if you say anything against black folk, you will be drummed out of town and out of church. When I look at the sorry state of the black community, the destruction of the family, the loss of integrity, when as a young boy, black shot down every day for 2 years without stopping on the streets of Philadelphia, and the same in Jacksonville and Chicago and in Detroit. When I look at what we are as black people, I'd rather be dead than to continue to live and call myself a black man against such statistics. I don't want to be one of you. I don't want to be one of you weak men, weak people. I'd rather die. Death is welcome, rather than to call myself you spineless black men. No strength. Don't take care of your children. Can't feed them. And you don't have any integrity, and you won't listen to truth. I'd rather be dead. Come on with it. You'll do me a favor. You'll make my day. But while I have life, while I have breath, while I have strength, I'm going to keep on preaching to you black people until you get the strength of God, the power and the wisdom of God back in you. You better kill me. That's what you better do, because if you don't kill me, I'm going to deliver you. Black people got a problem. Now, we can move to color blindness and always look at the man by the content of his character, never the color of his skin. I'm down for that. You get my vote. Yay and amen. I'm for that. But before we get there, we need to hear some truth. Black people and white folk. Black people got a problem. When black people see the world, I don't care. You can train them. You can train a black man to be a physician. You can train him to be an astrophysicist. You can train him to be a lawyer, but you can't train him to understand the world. He doesn't know. I'm telling you. There's not one monument in Africa, in all of Africa. I know you're talking about Egypt. Egypt is not Africa. There are no great cities that were built. Even before the first colonization of white people coming to the shores of Africa, or the slave ships, black men built nothing. No sewer system, no houses above one level, and none of them made out of stone, all of them made out of grass and wood. Look at what y'all have done in Harlem. You can't even hold on to Harlem. We got a problem. Black folk don't understand the world. You can get mad with me all you want. You can say what you, but you can't prove me wrong. Now, I'm not saying this because I hate black folk. I'm saying it because I love you enough to tell the truth. And the only person going to ever help us get out of the situation is going to be God. There's something wrong with the black man's mind. There's something wrong with his mind. He does not understand the world. He doesn't. I don't care if he learned medicine. He doesn't understand the world. He can't even hold on to Harlem. When he was here, he moved out. What's wrong with y'all? You niggas are crazy. Black people, let me tell y'all something. If you don't ever hear me say preach again, they can kill me tomorrow. But let me tell you something. We're not going to ever get anywhere until we look into the mind of a black man. He doesn't think correctly. I don't care what he is. He can be a doctor. He can be an astrophysicist. The nigga ain't got no sense. You talk to him. You talk to a black man. He doesn't understand the world. He's never built anything. The most the black people have ever done, they did it here in America under white people's help. When they were in Africa, they didn't do nothing.
There were multiple shootings at malls around the country, so it's not one location. One black man was killed by police who believed he was the suspect in the shooting of two teenagers. But now they believe he wasn't the one who fired the shots. And when I first heard about this story, I have to tell you, the first thing that came to my mind is that the black race hustlers, the liberal white race hustlers, the ones who use black people for personal gain, will start using this as a race issue between blacks and cops. And believe you me, I wasn't wrong about it. So black people carrying on at a mall shooting, these are young blacks shooting, which is typical of blacks. And the police steps in. One black man get killed by the cops because they thought he was the shooter. He had a gun. They thought he was the shooter. And this is an assassination. This is a joke, an absolute joke. It really is. And these people are already protesting. They're not protesting out of control abortion in the black community. No protest. Everybody and their mama are having abortions. 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills are located in the inner cities. No protest, not from the blacks. They're not protesting black-on-black violence out of control in most of the urban areas around the country. No protest. But let a white cop or let a cop kill a black man, especially if he's white, is an assassination. And somehow or another, they come up with a protest overnight. Black Americans, not all, but your values are misplaced.
An impassioned plea from a mother just days after her son was gunned down in an Alabama mall on Thanksgiving.
It feels like someone has ripped my heart out. My heart hurts for my child.
A tragic end to a chaotic night where two others were shot, including a 12-year-old girl. April Pipkins and Amantic Bradford Sr. are demanding answers after police announced an unlikely suspect in the shootings, their son, 21-year-old Amantic Fitzgerald Bradford Jr., known as EJ.
So I understand that the parents want to know what happened. Any parent would want to know what happened, right? But decent parent would wait. If you need to get an attorney, do an investigation, and get the issue resolved. Why do you have to go stupid like this? Why do you have to cry racism and an assassination? Here's the man's father. Here's what he had to say about it.
They just went to rusty judgment on national TV and slandered my son's name. Got my son looking like he a killer.
After videos surfaced of people running and ducking from gunfire, police issued a statement saying Bradford Jr. was the shooter. Less than 24 hours later, police retracted that statement. In a press release, Hoover police saying new evidence now suggests that while Mr. Bradford may have been involved in some aspect of the altercation, he likely did not fire the rounds that injured the 18-year-old victim.
So the cops came out and said, we got the shooter, we know who did it. And with further investigation, they come right back and say, hey, no, we might have the wrong guy. Is this father happy about that? That the cops came back and held a press conference saying, no, it might be the wrong guy? Does he appreciate that? The cops are damned if they do and damned if they don't when it comes to the black folks. This is all an act, by the way. It's not real. Because if black people cared about violence, don't you think, or do you think, that they would be out protesting the black-on-black violence? They would be out protesting abortion. They would be out protesting the corrupt black so-called leaders that they vote for year in and year out. There are protesters crying. This is so silly, I almost hate to report it to you. It's so typical. There are protesters crying racist police. So how about the fact that this man went to a mall where a bunch of black people were, and he was killed as a result of the shooting that happened, because whenever most black people get together, this is what happens? How about that? If this black man had not gone to that mall, had gone to a mall where there were a few blacks, he probably would be alive today because we wouldn't have had the shootout. No one's talking about that. What happened to black people that they lost all sense of values, that now whenever you go to a gathering where there are mostly blacks, especially young blacks, you got to have this type of outcome?
I'm white. I'm a Caucasian because everything about me is different from an African American. I have naturally straight hair. My hair isn't nappy. It doesn't require weave. My nose is not giant as like African Americans. My lips are perfect. They're not too big and they're not too small. Like, they're just perfect. My ears, I don't have black people ears because they're really giant. Most African Americans speak ghetto. But when it comes to black people, I think they're all ugly and I have nothing in common with them. I'm different from African Americans because I'm white. My figure is just like Kim Kardashian, and she's a wonderful role model. I act and I think like a white person instead of a black person. I believe that I'm completely and utterly better than them. Like, we're on two different levels. Like, okay, African Americans are here, I'm here. White people act and think just way more mature than African Americans. Black people, they think in a criminal way. When I think about African Americans, I feel like asking them, what is wrong with them? They're really dangerous. If an African American is on the same street as I am, I'll cross the street to avoid their chaotic, thuggish ways.
Are you okay?
I'm irritated.
I'm sorry.
I just know that I'm white. I mean, she might not know that I'm white, but I know that I'm white. I can feel it through my veins. I feel it through my blood. I tell my mom I'll never be like any of those Negroes. My mom tries to criticize me about my supposed race. I tell her she's just ignorant. There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
When you say that you believe yourself to be Caucasian, tell me why you believe that to be true.
Well, I know I'm a Caucasian because when I wake up in the morning, I just have such a great life. And that my hair is so perfect, my skin isn't ugly, and I'm not fat also, which is also a really African American thing. So, like, I'm just nowhere near like them. And plus, they're so thug and criminal that I can't relate.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, that's just so riddled with ignorance, I don't even know how to respond.
Okay.
And I'm not saying it to be insulting. Ignorance doesn't mean lack of intelligence, it means lack of information.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're confusing the concept of race and ethnicity, because race is really biologically determined.
I know I'm biologically white. I feel it through my veins and through my blood. I don't just think I'm white. I know that I'm white.
And
there's no doubt in my mind.
Even though I have told you that your father was not your father and that you are actually African American?
You might be lying. I don't trust anything that anyone else says. I know that I'm white.